Welcome back. You're watching Headstart. Still with us on Hot Copy. The second half of Hot Copy. Is the Philippines ready for nuclear energy, or should the Philippines already consider nuclear energy? Nuclear energy expert Urs Bolt is with us this morning. You were going to show us, change the perception of what nuclear plants already look like today.
That's exactly what Energy for Humanity wants to help people to grapple with.
Okay.
Now, you have one picture here which shows, what do you believe that is, Karen?
At first look, you'd think it's a museum.
Exactly. It looks like auditorium, like a museum. That's an architectural sketch of a modern new nuclear power plant in its fourth generation. So this plant, which is underneath, is now being research developed. They are in a third stage now of the 7 steps or 8 steps developing, and that's actually how you can.
And where is this?
This is now in the States. This
in the US?
This is a startup which works from MIT engineers.
Yeah.
And I was allowed to show this today, and this would basically be how to cover the nuclear power plant. Below is a very modern, future-proof technology, which will also actually recycle the waste we have today. So all these metric tons, which we have per year, actually the 20 metric tons per year, they're actually just a large American size, US size refrigerator. It's actually smaller.
Yeah.
I just was able to look that up during the break. Now this modern nuclear power plants, they are meltdown proof. They can actually be next to Manila in an area. So you have actually very short transmission grids. They can be smaller, they can be sort of, not exactly, this one would be like medium-sized, 300 to 500 megawatt.
But won't this still produce a lot of low-level radioactive waste that's transmitted in parts and supplies?
No, actually, this would be even more energy efficient than the ones we have today. So actually, the current technology we have today uses only 4% of the fuel you give in. So 96% is actually taken out.
Okay.
But why it's radioactive today is because it's still full of energy. The new reactor technology will use up to 98%.
Now, Urs, what about, let's face it, nuclear accidents recently in Asia, you have Fukushima, but no one would ever forget Chernobyl.
Of course. Chernobyl should never be forgotten, of course. No.
But you see, what guarantees, us that something of that magnitude will not happen again?
That's quite simple one. The reactor type in Chernobyl, that had not even a containment, so it wasn't even able to contain the radioactive fallout from the meltdown. So
would that be first generation?
It was a first generation without containment. These do not exist anymore. That's already 30 years ago now.
Okay.
So there is no. We don't need Chernobyl to use as a gimme pig or example that it could happen again.
Yeah.
Because it's simply not existent.
Yeah.
Now then the other one which would be more comparable is maybe 3 Mile Island, which happened in '79 with a pressurized water reactor in the United States. So that was a partial meltdown, but it actually didn't, there was no fallout from the radioactivity. So it actually was contained in the containment building. And that's what I would expect if something would happen, that it would be like this. Now Fukushima, obviously, and that had, like Chernobyl, a design error. The problem was that the wall, which should actually hold back the water, wasn't high enough. And then it was flooded, and then the backup diesel generators didn't have filter systems which avoided the water to come in. So they went down. Now 10 miles north of Fukushima, you have similar power plants, and they didn't have this issue. They had high enough walls, they had the backup, they were able to control it, to run down the reactors in a controlled way.
Okay, all right. And when it comes to land use, this is an example in the UK. You're saying that whether it's solar or wind, it just uses more land.
It uses much more land. As you can see, the Hinkley power plant, the highly debated power plant project in the UK, it's actually that size here. It's basically your little finger's tip the size, and if you use solar panels, of course you can use the roofs, etc. That uses like 250 times more space, and then wind is even worse because you have minimal distance between the wind power plants, and that means 500 times more land used, and that doesn't even provide you the continuous 24/7 power you actually need in a country like the Philippines. So you still have to have backup power, which usually in the States is now gas, natural gas, in the UK as well. And then in Germany, the Energiewende, which is always touted as the one example, actually still uses coal power. They can't reduce coal power because they need to fill the gaps of the intermittency of renewable energy.
Now, one of the concerns is, you know, you have nuclear power that could be clean. It uses uranium, but uranium is also finite. I mean, the supply of uranium is not limitless.
That's true, basically for all resources.
Yes.
Now, if you have uranium like the ones which is now stored safely and would use that 270,000 metric tons, which was all generated in the States, that would be enough to power the world for 72 years. So if you would actually use these new modern power plants, which will go online hopefully by end of the 2020s, 2030s,
so they've collected,
then you can use that.
But they've collected uranium that's good for 76 years?
It's the burnt fuel, which you actually have to store controllably. As you say, it's very safe. And it's in intermediary storage before it goes to the terminal storage. Actually, the terminal storage is not really needed in that way anymore, because we'll recycle this, because it's radioactive, because it's full of energy.
I see. Okay. Now, high cost. I mean, one of the issues is the nuclear business, they say, I mean, let waste cool for a considerable length of time. Is this a genuine concern?
That's important. No, it's not a concern. That's the way you do it. You let it in these water pools for 5 to 10 years. And the pools are actually very good shield to cause any harm.
What about the safety? I mean, look at that. In Hinckley, this is under protest. So, I mean, one of the issues is anywhere in the world, it's a high target for militants and protesters.
Actually, that's what people think. That's common sort of myth. It's a myth. Because if you really want to harm a country, then you probably better target a football stadium or let's say an area or an event where you actually see the concentration of people you want to hit the country, like it happened in Paris. A nuclear power plant can't explode, it's not a bomb. And they have very thick walls.
So
you need to really target that they're actually very, very safely built.
All right, Urs, how many days are you in the Philippines? And I think you should explain. You are not a lobbyist. You are not with the power sector. You are clearly an advocate.
Absolutely. Energy for Humanity is industry independent, is privately sourced, and not affiliated to any of the companies or power companies or nuclear technology companies.
Are you planning to meet with any of the senators, any of the officials in the Philippines?
I would love to meet. I would love to meet and have an open exchange and help to open minds and maybe just also have a critical debate. I'm happy to meet with any opponents or people considering it and just feeling insecure, how to proceed, how to do. We definitely, I would suggest you need to at least elaborate a roadmap how to build and how to achieve a clean and cheap Philippine energy future.
And you believe, you know, the Philippines has one of the strictest, I mean, clean air laws. The Clean Air Act in the Philippines has been lauded by no less than the United Nations. Would you say that nuclear energy will not go against the Clean Air Act?
Absolutely not.
No.
It will actually help. So, I mean, the air out here is, you know, I'm coming from Switzerland. We have to clear air from the Alps, and we have a power mix which is 40% nuclear, almost 60% hydropower, and this was the reason why we didn't build in the 60s the coal power plants. We went for nuclear. We combined it with pump storage from hydro, and we have the perfect mix. Now, if you follow politics now, we have a bit of a debate. We have a referendum going, a people's initiative, which actually wants to immediately exit nuclear energy. It would be the wrong way around. It doesn't follow global trends.
Yes, okay. All right, last words. Clearly in the Philippines, the challenge is in the mind.
The challenge is in the mind.
It's in the mind.
And the challenge, I mean, I think it's a challenge you have to meet and to debate and to, at the end, come up with a proper solution.
What would be a good energy mix for the Philippines?
I would say it's a mix where you look at the complete energy mix, not just electricity, but first start with electricity, reduce coal power as much as you can, start implementing nuclear power plants as soon as you can. If that's going to be bought down or not is a question, but that one could probably run by early 20s if you start now. And then you also need the regulation in place, but mid-20s you should already have third generations in place, because in China they build nuclear power plants below 5 years.
Wow.
And they scaled, so they go out now. They have already like 35 reactors online, and every month there's a new reactor going online. South Korea, same track record. They built 8 gigawatt for the United Arab Emirates in rocket speed.
So clearly it's the Philippines. Okay. All right. On that note, Urs Bolt, thank you for coming to Headstart. Welcome to the Philippines.
Thank you, Karen.
Replay of this interview is at 3:30 p.m. this afternoon. It's also uploaded on iwanttv.com.ph. I'm Karen Davila. Thank you for watching. That's Headstart today. Up next is Market Edge.